This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. A little too hard. So you podcast listeners might have known, we had a young man on recently who killed a big old bull elk, and his mother is whooping on an octopus right now. Alyssa, explain what you're up to.
I am tenderizing the octopus to put it on the grill.
Okay. I was observing earlier to Brody that there are as many ways to tenderize an octopus as there are arms on an octopus. You can put an octopus in a bowl. I've seen it done where you put it in a bucket and put some salt in the bucket and just punch the octopus. I've seen it where you whoop it with a stick, and I've seen it where you can pressure cook it, and there's probably more. And Alyssa's whooping it with a stick, and she is producing a recipe from the MeatEater Outdoor Cookbook, Wild Game Recipes for the Grill, Smoker, Camp Stove, and Campfire. And this recipe was a contribution by our friend, the beautiful and lovely Kimmy Werner. And so, Alyssa, tell a little more about the recipe you're making today.
So this is, I'm going to be grilling the octopus over open fire and then putting a chimichurri sauce over it.
How accomplished are you as a cook?
I have never cooked octopus.
But how would you rate yourself generally as a cook?
I would say maybe a 3 or 4. I have 3 boys, so it's
That's out of
like
5.
very, very plain cooking because they're pretty picky.
Did you ever work in a restaurant?
Yes, I did. I did for
in a
about 5
kitchen?
years. No.
Front of the house.
Yes.
You got picky kids.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites that you make?
We have Taco Tuesday every Tuesday.
Got it.
We have a lot of game meat in our freezer, so usually just whatever I can pull out of the freezer.
So you guys pull a lot of grind out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And take the grind and make things.
A lot of burgers.
Yep.
A lot of tacos.
Okay.
A lot of steak.
They can't be that picky because they're eating wild game meat.
No, but it's like tacos with cheese. Like that's it.
Oh, I got you.
Ground meat and cheese. Nothing exciting.
Yeah. So what would they think of the octopus you're cooking right now?
They would probably try this.
Oh, they would. Okay.
Yeah, they like seafood.
Yep.
They're big on, fish and seafood.
Got it.
Just plain. And I don't know if they'd like the sauce with it, but they would like that.
So far as you're preparing this, and we have a bunch of people preparing a bunch of things right now. We're outside. We're going to walk through all the things we're making. But how did you find, and you can be honest, how was your experience working from the new outdoor cookbook?
I felt like the recipe was really easy to follow. Pretty basic steps. One reason I picked this recipe is because it seems simple enough that I could do it.
Got it.
And
Where'd you get the octopus?
Steve.
That's my octopus.
Yep.
That's my octopus teacher.
Where did you get it?
That's a Bahamian octopus. No, I don't know. No, you know what? I don't.
Alaska?
No, that's an Alaska octopus.
It's not the Alaska.
No. His arm, that octopus's arms were bigger than that. The midsection of his arms were bigger than that whole octopus.
Yeah, that thing was a kraken.
Yeah, it was a kraken. Okay, so you're gonna keep whooping on it here. Did you flip it? Flip it and whoop it. Yep. Okay, and then and then your next steps are going to be you're gonna work it in some olive oil.
And some salt.
Okay, and then you're gonna move over to the open fire, and we have a fire of cherry wood going.
And then I think I'm going to let it char for a little bit. I'm going to cook it or put it on there until it's charred, and then pull it off, and then just smother it in the chimichurri, and then I think cut it up in bite-sized pieces. That's it.
Okay, get moving. Keep
All right.
going. Okay, we're going to move over to our next cook now. Seth, come on over.
Howdy. Hold on. I'm going to come over there.
Okay, Seth, start out by rating yourself as a cook and an outdoor cook.
Oh, man, that's tough. I'm above average, I would say, but not far from average.
Got it.
Yeah.
Slightly above average.
Slightly above average.
Just for a little, so let me look. Seth is working from chapter 1
Yep.
of the MeatEater Outdoor Cookbook, and here's how the book's broken down. Brody, I'll do one, then you do one.
Okay. If I can remember the order.
No,
Yeah, you tell.
I'll tee you up.
Yeah.
Seth is working from section 1, which is over the flames, which includes all manner of open fire cooking, traditional grilling, making burgers, making steaks, grilling octopus, basically anything you're doing where you have an elevated platform like a grill and you're cooking, as the title chapter says, over the flames. Section 2 is into the smoke. Take it away, Brody.
Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory, but any kind of we did a lot of smoking recipes, so it could be like in a smoker. Did we do it? It was all in smokers. Did we do anything? Well, pellet grills.
Pellet
I
grills and
suppose.
smokers.
Yeah. So smoked trout. What are some of the other recipes we did that were smoked? I can't even remember.
From into the smoke?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So we have a lot of stuff about using smokers and all that.
There's
Smoking
a ton
what-
of how-to info.
Yeah, the deviled eggs are in that.
all the
Deviled
different
out.
methods.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we're going
there
to be
we go.
doing
We're
one
gonna be
from it
doing
right
today.
now. To give you, for instance, so an cola ancho jerky, a summer sausage preparation, a brown sugar wild hog ham, hot smoked trout. We got salmon jerky or
Yep.
salmon candy, smoked American eel, hot smoked fish sausages, smoked and deviled eggs. Who's in charge of smoked and deviled eggs?
They'll share it.
They're
Yeah, we're
gonna
teaming up
tag
on that
team
one.
doing smoked and deviled eggs right today. Smoked venison sandwiches, grilled wild boar ribs with peach glaze,
Those were good.
smoked bone-in hog roast, barbecue style squirrel, brined and smoked turkey breast.
Ooh, I want to know
smoked
more about
duck,
that squirrel recipe.
smoked moose nose hash.
That's an involved one.
That's 6 pages.
Yep.
Braised and smoked wild game brisket, and that's it.
Yep.
Then from there we move into the under the coals section. Well, let's pick this up because we got to keep. We're going to come back. We're going to back
Yeah.
up to over the flames and explain something. Seth today, for your listening pleasure, is doing a preparation from over the flames, and over the flames includes. So you have grilling, what you need to know, charcoal, lump, backcountry grates. This book is heavily informed by Ice Age cooking methods and also very modern cooking methods. Sticky and sweet grilled frog legs. Stuffies, which is a clam recipe. Beaver confit toasts. Cheeseburger poppers. Grilled tongue tartines.
What's a tartine?
Is it like a little puff pastry?
It's like a
thing?
little sando, little mini open top sando. Stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, which is where Seth's going to come in.
Yep.
A bunch of fancy ways to dress up hot dogs. So if your idea of outdoor cooking is to stick a hot dog on a stick, you can kind of amp that up and do fancy ways to dress up your hot dogs. Camp sausage,
Randall will be doing the hot dog recipes for sure.
lettuce wraps, wild game steaks, butterflied steaks, venison chops, like tomahawk chops with venison, how to do all that, grilled mackerel, grilled whole fish in foil, which is general how to grill basically any whole fish in foil, how to grill flat fish, so grilled whole flounder, any sort of flat fish or fluke, grilled lobster, seafood paella over an open fire, grilled octopus, octopus chimichurri, spatchcocking game birds, all kinds of marinades and other preparations for doing that, a Peruvian-style marinade for duck, wild turkey grilled, and that's it for that section. Now, Seth, talk about your prep.
So I did the bacon jam and blue cheese filling. So I
Okay.
went ahead and made that first. You cook down like chunk up bacon, cook it down in a skillet, and then add some onions and some balsamic vinegar and some brown sugar. And you cook all that down. It like kind of caramelizes and turns into like a nice
Yep.
jam. I formed the patties from some elk burger that you had in the freezer.
You already did that.
Already did that. That are
Okay.
in the fridge chilling right now. And then when the time is right, I'll pull those out, and then I'll add the stuffing, which is that bacon jam, and then some blue cheese crumbles.
Okay, and Alyssa has to cook over an open fire, but you're cooking on a pellet grill.
Yep.
You happen to be cooking right now on a Camp Chef pellet grill.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Keeping
The
it simple.
assembly for this one is a good one for kids to jump in on too.
Because you're
'Cause you
stuffing.
could- yeah.
It's how you're like forming a. Picture you're making a hot pocket.
Exactly.
You're
Out
making a
of
hot
meat.
pocket, but meat is the
bread.
Dough is the
Yeah.
meat. It's a hot pocket.
Yep.
Okay, great. You can get back to it, Seth.
Cool.
I think we should also point out, did you mention like we've got recipes that are everywhere from like elaborate showstoppers to
Yeah.
like simple backcountry ways to like elevate backcountry camp meals.
That's exactly right. So we've been working on this for a few years.
Yeah.
And after we finished the MeatEater fishing game cookbook, we started working on this one. We've been working on it a few years, and for a long time, we never did it, but for a long time we talked about calling it, the outdoor cookbook, but it was backyard to backcountry.
Yep.
So right now we're sitting on my porch, and the stuff we have a camp stove setup going, we have an open fire setup going, we have a pellet grill setup going. So by the definition of his outdoor cooking, be like food that you make outside or food that you're making to eat outside. So just food that food tastes better outside. It's how to prepare it outside. Stuff that you bring for outdoor things. You're going to a picnic. It's stuff you bring for that you can finish outdoors. It's things that you might take a few prep steps inside, then take it outside. It's things that you might make outside with stuff you fish and hunt for outside, and then you cook it only using materials that you found outside, like
Yep.
how to make grills out of willow limbs, how to make cooking setups with rocks, how to dig holes in the ground and cook stuff in a hole in the ground, everything but backyard to backcountry.
Yeah.
Super simple backcountry preparations.
So we have every recipe comes with an icon that'll show like backyard cooking, car camping, or backcountry. And some of them will fill all three.
Yep.
Some are one, some are two, but it's that's how we kind of informed the recipes that are in here.
And it's like it's also everything from like real blue collar working class.
Yeah.
Like poppers. I was out to eat the other night with Ronnie Bame, and we were talking about
His famous Dove Popper
Yeah.
recipe.
he was like, a lot of my birds that I get find their way into a popper. And I was like, dude, there's nothing wrong with poppers.
Yep.
And there's poppers in here, but there's also like much more, I guess, what you might regard as of somewhat more sophisticated dishes.
Yeah.
Either because they have elaborate preparations or because they're just, like octopus and chimichurri. It's not, they don't sell it. It's not they don't have it down at Long John Silver's.
Yeah.
Is that still a restaurant?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
don't
I haven't seen one in a while, but I imagine so.
They're around.
Did you do it like you did previous cookbooks too, where you made it so that each recipe is not particularly just necessarily for one protein, and you can sub in?
Yes, that was a big thing. So Brody and I worked on the book really heavily, and we worked on the book really heavily with our cookbook collaborator Krista Ruane, and that was a big thing in doing it. Is I don't like this is something we explored in the Fish and Game Cookbook, where I don't like when you open up a recipe book and it says like an antelope,
Yeah.
a pronghorn recipe.
Well, yeah, like
Or
today.
an elk heart recipe. It's like, is it really an elk heart recipe or is it like a heart recipe?
Right.
And is it really a pronghorn recipe or is it sort of like a animal with hooves recipe?
Yeah, the only like Alyssa, like you got to use an octopus for an octopus recipe, right?
Yeah, you
But
can't
like
put like dog in there.
Seth's burger,
That ain't gonna work.
pick an animal for Seth's burger. you know?
Exactly. So we clarify that, and even where
That being said, chimichurri goes on
anything.
well
Yeah,
on any
Sure,
protein.
Yeah,
Sure,
right.
but the burger itself,
Well, yeah, but listen, when you make that chimichurri, you make a big batch, and put it in the fridge, because when you grill up a roast, there is nothing better than chimichurri on that. Alyssa, I would say you're about good on that, man. Is it that you're going to wind up with pudding over there, dude?
I was just trying to get the outer parts that I've been missing.
Okay. Don't
She's
whoop it so much
methodical
that.
about it.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Don't whip the Kraken out
And don't
of it.
lose that cherry wood whooping stick. All right, Randall, you ready to come over and talk about where you're at, buddy?
I am.
Do you mind picking up on Randall coming off back-to-back trivia wins? Do you mind picking up the smoked egg? People are going to think this is weird. Earlier a minute ago, I was saying there's like working class, blue collar. Like for instance, if I had to, like a preparation that I've been using my entire life and continue to use unapologetically is I'm a fish fry man.
Yep.
So we have a friend, Parker Hall. He's been on the show. He's been on the podcast, very opinionated about fish frying. And Parker Hall contributed a section on fish frying.
Which
Opinionated
Which
about
some
fish
people
frying.
might be like, what? Outdoor. But
Dude,
it's the best place to fry fish.
I don't fry fish indoors.
Yeah.
When I first started dating my wife, I did some indoor frying. And one day she's like, even the bath towels smell like fried fish.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we had a very small place back then, and you get to frying indoors. So I just moved the whole
And
operation.
that misted oil gets everywhere, and then your walls get covered in grimy dust stuck to the oil. And
Growing up, my old man
fryers.
he had an industrial deep fryer. Kind of, it was 110. He kept the deep fryer in the garage. And I've always said this, he would make you go up and turn it on to 375, but you couldn't come down until the light blinked off.
Yep.
So if he sent you to turn on the fryer, you had to wait there 20 minutes because you didn't tell him you turned it on. You had to say,
it's ready.
it's on and to temp.
Yep.
So you never wanted to get that job.
Right.
Then later, we had a porch, and he later built a fume hood. It's there to this day. He built a fume hood on the deck that vented out and then moved his deep fryer to where it sits now under that fume hood. So I think of fish frying as outdoor. And when Parker Hall fries fish, he sure as hell, you see this guy fry fish, dude? Frying up, 10 pounds of flathead catfish. You're not doing that in the house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't fry any fish in the house.
No.
I fry it outside. At our fish shack, we fry fish outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of fish frying as outdoor cooking, especially because one of the ways we talk about is propane-fired, right?
Yeah,
How to fry fish over a propane-fired burner.
Yeah, those Cajun cooker type things.
So what was I getting at?
Did we talk about the vessel to put the oil into? Like, did we get into it?
We're jumping ahead of ourselves a little bit.
Oh,
but-
okay.
Well, no, we're not, because we're not going to cover that. Oh, yeah, but can you hold off on that, Yanni?
Sure.
But what I was talking about, there's good working class blue collar stuff like burgers, poppers, steaks, and there's also like something a little more fancy pants.
High cuisine.
Yeah, and this is like a thing like this came from Krista's. This wasn't my personal repertoire, but Krista Ruane is into the smoked. Everyone who's been to a church potluck has eaten a deviled egg. When I was a boy, and you went to the Twin Lake United Methodist Church potluck, my church I grew up in is splitting away from United Methodist.
Oh, big news.
7,000 7,000 Methodist churches have pulled away. I don't like to get into politics on the podcast here.
There's some. Are they questioning the leadership or something? Or,
No, over a policy issue. And so my mother's Methodist church has pulled away from United. They voted to splinter.
Their splinter organization.
Who's that feller back in the old days that came up and nailed the
Martin
13?
Luther?
Yeah, it's like that. Nailed
95
the rule,
Theses?
nailed to the church
Yep.
door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big news in Twin Town. They haven't updated their website yet, I noticed. But if
The great schism of Twin Lakes.
if you went to Twin Lake United Methodist Church back in 1984 and it was a church potluck, you would find a lot of macaroni salad. You would find ambrosia.
The Jello molds.
Jello molds. And
Yep.
you would find many deviled egg preparations. But Randall, help us through it.
I think it's a pretty
What makes this one different? Randall?
Well, it's a pretty standard devil egg preparation, with the exception that we're gonna put these hard-boiled eggs on the smoker
yes,
for about 35 to 40 minutes.
yes, a smoked deviled egg appetizer. Where, and here we get into this whole thing of like outdoor cooking, indoor cooking. You can, ahead of time, at home, at your leisure, hard boil some eggs. But then you come out and you're at like your outdoor party, you're going to a barbecue, you're going to whatever, you're going on a 4th of July outdoor camping trip, you take those hard-boiled eggs and turn out the showstopper smoked deviled egg. Walk us through the process, Randall. Do you want to see it here? Because I know you have to commit this stuff to memory.
No, I mean, how's this? We hard-boiled some eggs
I'm
earlier,
putting my damn glasses on, Randall.
and then they're going to throw them over the smoker, I believe, for about 35 to 40 minutes.
Low heat on it? It's got to be a pretty low
Yeah,
heat.
It's a low heat.
You don't want to
yeah,
waylay
it's a
them.
low
Yeah.
heat, and then we'll slice them and mix up the filling with the yolk, fill them, top them, and enjoy them.
Yeah, so this preparation too, I'm trying to pull it up just for Randall's benefit and my own. You're taking what you're smoking is you're smoking the whole damn egg. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you're smoking the whole hard-boiled egg just as it is once you peel it, once you shell it, and then the filling is.
And it puts it makes it look smoked.
I'm excited to see what it looks like.
What do they call that ring?
Oh, in barbecue?
Yeah.
The smoke ring.
No, it's got a name. It's got this. It's what's it called? We used to call it the rind,
I don't know.
but there's a term for it. What's
Yeah.
the term
Rind's
for
different. I think this is a smoke ring.
it? Yeah, where you get the red that penetrates, and you can always tell where it left
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Which brings up the point, this is not like a professional barbecue book. This is a just outdoor cook.
There's there's a barbecue component to it,
Yeah.
but we kind of get into we get into a lot of the terminology. Like
Yeah.
when you say you're smoking something, what does it mean? When you're barbecuing, because nowadays people say, I went to a barbecue. What'd you have? Hot dogs?
Right.
So there's technical barbecue.
Yeah.
Which if you went down to like Memphis and you say that you're going to barbecue a hot dog, you might get argued out of the room.
Right.
So we talk about all these different terminologies. Another great terminology thing we get into here. Are you good? No, you got another thing. What else are you going to make, Randall?
I'm making the spicy fish cakes.
Okay.
And for that, I have diced up some perch that Brody brought, and
Which goes back to the ingredient thing. I
Yeah.
don't know what kind of fish
I think it
lists
just
there.
sort of any sort of white fish.
Yeah.
And cut it up into 2-inch chunks. Then I've got it in the food processor there, and I'm chopping it up with some eggs.
And you've been pulsing it for some time now.
25 to 30 pulses. I saved a few to get on camera.
You know how in movies when there's like smoke
Yeah,
drifting?
Alyssa, something bad happened to your fire. What'd you do to it?
I was trying to get it's an open flame, and there's no flame, so we're trying to.
Well, can you entertain everybody? Brody, take the cookbook and go into the next section.
All right.
I need to check on Alyssa's program over here.
Yeah. I knew this would happen at some point.
Seth, would you pulse my fish mixture a couple times?
So keep going on the fish cakes, Randall.
Yeah, so you pulse it up with the eggs, and then you add in a mixture of like breadcrumbs, some spicy brown mustard. I diced up some serrano peppers, and
Mayo, Dijon,
that's
right?
for the sauce.
Oh, okay,
that's for
right.
the red mayo sauce, tomato mayo sauce. But the
So the peppers are what's giving
peppers,
it the kick.
yeah, and
Scallion.
scallion. That's right. That's what I was thinking of, and some like Creole seasoning.
Is there a sauce you serve with these things?
Yeah, so there's a tomato mayo. It's like tomato paste mayo, some garlic,
I love
and
fish
some
cakes, man.
thyme. So once I add all that into the mixture there in the food processor, I'll pulse it another 10 times, and then I'll make some cakes about 2.5 inches in diameter,
Yep.
1 inch thick, like a crab cake, like
Yep.
a small crab cake. And I will bread it over there and some more breadcrumbs, and then throw it into the oil. 6 minutes each side. Pull it off. Serve it with a A squeeze of lime.
Lime or
I'm
lemon?
sorry, lemon.
You could do
The
lime.
citruses throw me off.
Green ones and yellow ones and orange ones.
Yeah. Once I'm on, on the big stage here with the microphone, I confuse my citruses. But we'll give it a squeeze of lemon, and then serve it with that tomato mayo sauce. And I'm looking forward to it.
You could do all different kinds of versions of this recipe too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? And so the fish mixture is then breaded. It's not that the breadcrumbs are incorporated
Well, there
into
are
it,
both.
or both.
There's 3/4 of a cups of breadcrumb.
Okay.
In that mixture. So there's some breadcrumb mixed in with the fish mixture, and then I will also bread the outside.
Get
of
that
it
crisp
before
coating.
cutting it.
I'd like to speak to this for a minute. Do you mind?
No, please,
Floor
please.
is yours.
You're doing a great job.
I'm trying.
I want to tell you why any cookbook that we work on is going to have a fish cake recipe in it. Someday I might do a book just called Fish Cakes.
Cakes.
Here's why it's going to have fish.
It'll be short, but
It'd be a pamphlet.
More of a pamphlet.
No, what's it
You could
called?
nail
when
it
you-
to a
no,
door.
what's it called? Remember, there's a word. There's like an old word. A monograph.
No, monograph's a book.
No, but it's a short book. A monograph is a short book.
Steve,
I disagree with you.
I know you're a trivia
it'll be called
Brody?
On Fish Cakes.
No, type up what a monograph is.
A scholarly monograph
Is a short
is
book.
a big book.
No,
Randall's pretty smart,
he
Steve.
doesn't know what he's talking about. Not when it comes to books, he ain't.
It's a
Oh,
detailed.
here we go.
a
Corinne's gonna
detailed
tell
Hey
us.
written
Seth,
study.
fan that way. Just put some heat on that. Put some wind on it.
When you publish a dissertation, it's often referred to as a monograph. You're turning your dissertation into a
It's
monograph.
short.
a detailed written study of a single specialized subject or an aspect of it.
On Fish Cakes by
So,
Stephen
for
Rinella.
example, a series of monographs on music in late medieval and Renaissance cities. So it could be like a monograph on
Fish cakes.
fish cakes?
You-
on a
yeah.
specific kind of fish cake? I'm not sure.
It's
Holy cow, Seth! Is that after I worked on it?
yeah. This is your problem.
God.
Well, that's
Brody?
outdoor cooking for you.
Well, no, that's me being over here. and
There's a
him
lot
being
of
over there for
variables
you.
at play.
It is, and we talk a lot about
Yeah.
that. Let me touch on an
We're
aspect.
getting
Let me
smoked
touch
out,
on an
people.
aspect of this book. Because it's outdoor cooking and there's invariables, right? Like when you turn your oven, when you're sitting inside and you turn your oven on 400, and if you got a decent oven, that some bitch is on 400,
Yep.
right? And you're like, okay, if you use a cup of this and a half cup of that, and it's at room temperature and it's on 400, like I can say cook it for 19 minutes or whatever. With outdoor cooking, it doesn't work that way. So we give a lot of guidelines, but one of the things I talk about, like the book has over 100 recipes, meaning like tablespoon of this, cup of that, right? Recipes. But it also has a lot on methodology
Technique.
and a lot on preparations, a lot on technique. And instead of telling you cook it for 18 minutes, because I don't know, like your fuel source could be different. You're cooking with mesquite. Someone in an area might be cooking with alderwood. You could have really dry oak. You could be cooking with some pine. I don't know.
It could be windy and blowing the heat away from your
Yeah.
fire.
So
whatever.
rather than saying how many minutes, we're saying like you should expect that it might be within this time bracket. But here's what you're looking for. When you see this happen,
Yep.
move on to the next thing. When you see this happen, move on to the next thing. If you're seeing this happen, you have a problem that you need to correct. So it's not like telling you, at times it tells you things of great specificity, but it also tells you like strategies so that you can cook outdoors in environments that are like unpredictable.
Yep. Maintaining coals, stuff like that.
But now back to my monograph on fish cakes. What's the number one gripe you hear about pike, suckers, carp,
Bony.
buffalo,
Bony.
bonefish,
Yep.
tarpon?
Just
Yep,
pulse
bony.
it a little bit.
Yep.
Like those perch, I didn't take the pin bones
Yeah.
out of those things, you know?
And I love fish cakes because, like, for instance, my boy and his buddies like to go fish suckers down the road.
Yeah.
Now, when they catch suckers, we just take the sucker fillet off, skin it, fish cake. Because you're incinerating the bone. You don't need to remove the bones. On northerns, you don't need to remove the bones. If you're cooking like mackerel, bonefish, mullet,
Yep.
or cooking bonefish, blend it.
Yep.
And you don't need to go in there and do all that elaborate like bone picking. When Randall's talking about 2 breadings, it's because like you can make a fish cake, but I'll tell you, if you want to make next level fish cakes, make any fish cake in the world. Take that fish cake and before you cook it, roll it in panko.
Yeah. Get that crispy
Do you want
layer
to
on
season
the
that
outside.
panko?
No, it's
that?
just a
Okay.
finish. It's just it's like a fish cake is great and a crab cake is great. Take a crab cake someday, and the last thing you do before you cook the crab cake, get a plate, put panko, and pat it in panko, then cook the son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, when you cut that thing open, it's real satisfying.
It's like crunch on the outside. I remember reading this thing about a chef who was like a Michelin chef, and he quit. He he got sick of cooking, and there was an interview with him. He said, I got sick of just spending my whole life trying to make things crispy on the outside and soft in the middle.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
You ready to get back to it?
I am.
Do you want to talk about your dish more, or you want us to make your damn dish?
I'm getting a little anxious to begin or to continue on with my preparation, but I will say that the one thing I appreciated about this recipe, I always like a recipe where you can do a lot of it ahead of time, and it doesn't say, do this while this happens.
Okay.
So I was able to mix up my my additions to the mixture there. I've got my breadcrumbs all set up over there at my station. So once I get rolling here, I feel pretty confident about my ability to execute.
And how many pulses are you at right now?
19.
Okay.
Which oddly enough is how I'd rate myself as a chef.
Don't overdo
Out of
it.
1 to 10.
Out of 35.
You gotta have some chunks in there. Can't be.
Yeah,
When I saw him
Yeah, you
over
don't-
there dicking around hitting that pulse thing, I was like, yeah, I thought he's going to wind up with a disaster. Then he revealed that he's actually counting.
I thought that it seemed like an oddly high number of pulses.
Well, use your best
Especially because I'm
judgment.
supposed to pulse it further once I add in the breadcrumbs and the peppers and stuff.
But let me tell you a little thing about cooking. You might already know this. When you're cooking, let's say you're cooking some cookies, baking some cookies, and you're working off a recipe and it tells you to bake them for 18 minutes. And you take a gander in there at 16 and they're done. What do you think in your head?
Well,
Do you think I might better pull them out?
I like to follow directions. I like to follow orders.
So
I would
like,
have been a
it's too
great
bad-
soldier if
too
it wasn't
bad
for the
it's-
cowardice. Give me a list of things to do and I'll just do them.
So you're going to be like, I'm just going to let my cookies burn because by God it says 18 minutes.
With cookies, actually, I'd probably take them out because I had wanted to take them out for the prior 10 minutes.
'Cause you wanted to eat them.
Yeah, since they're raw dough, I'd been thinking about eating them. But most of the time, I sort of just leave it up to the recipe. That way, there's someone else to blame when it goes wrong.
Understood. You good?
I think I'm good.
Okay, I'll come visit you in a minute on your cooking.
All right.
Oh, and you're on the. We're going to jump ahead, but you're on the.
Camp chef.
Yeah, he's working off of a. He's working off of
Like
a
a double
standard
burner camping stove.
standard Joe Blow 1 pound propane canister.
Yeah. Imagine that
Joe
Randall,
Blow
is,
camp
Randall
stove.
is car camping or tailgating or some.
Yeah,
something
and
like
I'm
that.
I'm not an experienced deep fryer, so I'll be.
You're not deep frying. You're pan frying, buddy. Deep frying is
Well, a good thing that I'm
frying
pan
is
frying because
deep
I'm not-
frying is immersion.
Gotcha. Well, clearly I'm not an experienced pan fryer.
You don't even know what you're so inexperienced.
Yeah.
You don't even know what
That's
it is.
why we did this book, Randall.
Which is probably surprising for a man of my body type to not be an experienced deeper pan fryer, but I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, you're pan frying.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a question for all of you
Please.
about
Because I was ready to move into chapter 3, but hit us.
about the building a fire. I
Oh.
thought that part was absolutely fascinating to see the different
Janis
ways.
put a lot of work into that section.
I mean, I love
like.
that just to see
you?
all of the different ways why you would do it one way over another for what kind of protein or what kind of recipe or where you are. And then the coolest thing was making a fire inside of a stump. I'd just never seen that before. I thought that was very cool.
I'll touch on that in a minute. So we when we began our discussion with you getting to section 1 over the flames, but there was a very healthy bunch of introductory materials. So there's a expertly crafted essay by a young writer, a promising young writer named Stephen Rinella. And then we get into this thing. So we get into using this book, which is a note on variability, where we explore the idea we were talking about a minute ago. Deer are different. Old bucks are different than young fawns. Cherry wood is different than mesquite wood. So all this kind of variability. We talk about how to use the book. We get into outdoor cooking appliances and kitchen setups. And then, like Corinne said, we get into a big thing about, then we got outdoor cooking kits, how to pack for car camping, how to pack for backcountry cooking.
That's my personal car camping kit. There's a picture of it.
Yep, Yanni contributed heavily in that section. Then we get into this thing, cooking over fire, okay? So starting a fire and all these different fire builds, cooking with different types of wood, where we explain different attributes of different wood. Cooking fire builds, or all these different ways of constructing fires, and some are rather inventive. We got the log cabin or hashtag fire, stump stove, reflector fires, keyhole fires. Then over the flames, which he discussed. And I want to jump ahead now to another section that we're going to explain. First off, how's everybody doing on their preparations?
Mine's on.
The octopus
Oh,
is cooking.
that looks good.
I'm waiting for the eggs to be done.
Now, Alyssa, don't be afraid to let that
Char.
bugger. You know, I would raise up. Seth, help her out. I don't want anybody to get burnt. Yep, loosen it.
There's an element of danger
Lower.
involved with outdoor cooking too.
Higher.
True that.
Yep. There you go. Now into under the coals.
Under the coals, burying stuff.
Yeah, under the coals.
Phil, you should grab a shot of what Randall's doing right now.
Under the coals is going to be, I would say this is the most, not esoteric, yeah. This is the oldest in terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I say oldest in terms of time, like meaning this is some ancestral, ancient cooking strategies.
Burn the hide off of, cook something in its hide under coals kind of thing.
Yep. If you, we talk about this, when I wrote the introduction to this, I mentioned this. In the introduction to this, I talk about where, if people are familiar with Montana being called Big Sky, the Big Sky country. That comes from a novel. This is not widely known, I don't think. I didn't know this. I lived in Montana for years when I was younger before I knew why they called it Big Sky country. There's a novel by A.B. Guthrie, and it's like a mountain man novel called The Big Sky. And after The Big Sky came out, someone from the tourism board in Montana actually wrote A.B. Guthrie and asked them if they could use The Big Sky in a highway campaign, promoting like taking highway trips in Montana. And they were pushing the idea that you drive from Glacier to Yellowstone and experience the Big Sky country. And A.B. Guthrie, the novelist, said, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And that's where Big Sky country came from. In The Big Sky, he talks, there's a lot of cooking that happens in this mountain man novel, The Big Sky. And when the kid that becomes the protagonist runs away from home, early on, one of the first meals they describe is he has some cornmeal. And he makes a little dough with cornmeal and makes balls and just drops the balls into the ash. And then he takes a rabbit and bones out a rabbit and sticks the pieces to a rock and tips the rock up facing the flame, and that's the first meal in The Big Sky. Later in The Big Sky, his favorite meal becomes burying a deer head in the ash. And if you read other mountain man accounts and long hunter accounts, they would oftentimes just take a hunk of meat. So say you take a sirloin from a deer, and they don't even wrap it. They just bury it. And then later you scrape away and carve away the outside, and just like, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. Or people would take a marmot or take a dog and just burn the hair off and bury it. Mm-hmm. and then dig it up, scrape the outside away, cut off the skin, and eat the cooked meat. So it's like an old cooking method.
Is there anything in there where you've gutted an animal and you stuck hot rocks in it and closed it up?
That is a thing, but it's not. We don't talk about that. But now you make me feel it's the only thing we didn't put in the damn book. Damn it! Why are you bringing it up now? Edit that out, Phil.
Volume 2.
Sorry, Steve.
So this covers. This brings up something a little bit funny.
We can do a little monograph about rocks inside
Yes.
the rib cage.
This covers cooking food directly on coals. Okay. This covers cooking in foil packs under the coals. It covers Dutch ovens, and it covers pie irons. And
Steve's favorite.
This is my favorite subject. When I was a boy,
Times they are changing.
I still call them this, by God. When I was a boy, it was a hobo pie. When you said, and you just have to take my word for it. When you said a hobo pie when I was a boy, you were not conjuring an image of someone in contemporary times being down on their luck and homeless.
Like a transient worker type.
You were conjuring a guy from the Great Depression who kept his possibles in a handkerchief tied to the end of a stick.
Yep, over his shoulder.
And he had some coal dust on his nose. And he had a bottle of old booze with X's on the bottle. And he lived and rode the rails.
Freedom.
And he was the kind of guy you dress up with as for Halloween.
Yeah.
And if you went back to my school and you went into a class of 24 kids, 2 of them were dressed as, on Halloween, 2 of them were dressed up as this guy.
Yep.
And nothing they liked more than a hobo pie.
I just made a note for when I'm preparing for trips. I like to make a little note that says like family turkey trip. And then I'll just start listing things I don't want to forget. And I just started mine for my family turkey camp and added in iron pie makers and ingredients.
Do you mind walking over to that ceramic pot there,
No,
Corinne, and
no
producing
problem.
one of my hobo pie makers from there? Keep right next to the fire.
Oh, the green one?
Yeah. You know where my parents kept the hobo pie makers?
These. You mean
Yeah,
these?
yeah, those, Corinne.
My dad had somewhere along the line gotten himself a mailbox, like a newspaper mailbox, screwed it to the wall, and that's where the hobo pie makers were kept. So here's a double, which didn't exist when I was a kid. But what's funny about this is if you go onto Amazon right now, here's a double for making Whoppers, and Corinne's got a single. If you went onto Amazon right now and typed in hobo pie maker, you will pull up exactly what you're looking for.
Right.
But you will find that the keyword you use to search it
It's not in the title.
is not in the description.
Yeah.
So some guy was like, man, people are going to be looking for hobo pie makers. I don't want to write that, but I don't want to lose the customer. So they've done keyword optimization around a keyword that is actually not in the description.
Yep.
Seth, do you mind sharing what you guys called them over in Pennsylvania?
Mountain pies or moon pies?
Yep.
Both. I've heard.
Chester had some
Pudgy
pies.
Pudgy
Yeah.
pie, yeah.
Can you make a grilled cheese?
They'll
I mean,
make
is
it
it
pudgy.
you just
Can
do
you do
anything
anything?
you want?
Let me tell you, there's 2 that we knew that I used to know. I've always been nostalgic for these. I love using them. We did 2 preparations as kids, and not just us, but just in general. Well, there's 3, but we had 2 favorites. Then there's a third classic. Velveeta cheese. Mm-hmm. The key is you butter both sides of the bread, put some Velveeta
Wonder
in there,
bread.
close that sucker up, and make the most badass golden brown grilled cheese you ever had. Mm-hmm. You do PB&J. Okay, so you butter both sides of the bread, do peanut butter and jelly in there, or you go down to the store and get yourself a can of cherry pie filling or apple pie filling.
Oh, okay.
Butter both sides of your bread, put the cherry pie filling in there, close that sucker up, and do it. But we have like some kind of fancy
All sorts
pants.
of them, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean fancy pants in like as far as the ingredients go, but it's not like hard to make them.
The section is called iron pie sandwiches or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. Have you ever tried to do it with a what I would call it, a healthier bread than just straight up Wonder Bread.
We talk about that. Yeah, I don't actually use Wonder Bread because the problem is you need a large format bread. You need a good size. But yeah, you go to a bakery, you need a good size bread. So when you're shopping for your bread, and we explain all this in the book, take note of the dimensions of your pie iron, right? Because if you got a pie iron and then you get out in the campground and realize that your bread doesn't because you need to have overlap.
Yeah.
Because when you close that pie iron, it's sealing. We talked about Hot Pockets earlier. When you close the pie iron, it presses and seals it, right? So you need overlap on all sides. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You can use good quality bread. Just
What's
have the
that
right
bread they use for French toast a lot?
Brioche?
Challah?
Brioche is a good one.
Brioche is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You don't want like too home baked of a bread where you get the big air pockets.
Like not crusty bread, not
Yep.
chewy bread.
And you don't want, you do a sourdough and you open that sucker up and it's got like centimeter air pockets.
Yeah.
You're just going to be losing your ingredients out of there. When I say fancy pants, we have one where you can take turkey, grouse, pheasant, whatever, like a game bird one, cheddar and fig. So fig jam and cheddar. It's a grown-up preparation.
You might see it called a panini in some cafe somewhere.
Ah.
We get into this. 10 of our favorite iron pie combos. Peanut butter and jelly or honey on country white bread. Yanni. A cooked ground meat burger, onion, American cheese, ketchup, and brioche. Okay. A ground burger and a shredded fowl, so shredded game bird, taco seasoning, Mexican cheese, sliced ham, pimento cheese, pickles, and sourdough. Cooked bacon or breakfast sausage, scrambled eggs, cheddar cheese, flour tortilla, brioche, or sourdough. All in a hobo pie, iron pie. Smoked salmon or trout, cream cheese, dill, chives, pickled red onion on sourdough. Duck, gorgonzola, pancetta, onion jam. Preserved cherries on sourdough. Peppernata, sourdough. Sauteed mushrooms with grilled zucchini and Gouda on sourdough. Or go to the grocery store and get yourself a big can of, or get a big can of cherry pie filling.
Yep.
It's up to you. In here also we talk about burying stuff in the ground. And a lot of times
Can we talk just a little bit more about iron pies?
Oh, please.
Kids love them.
Kids, nothing they like more than iron pie.
But they're also one of the potentially most dangerous food items for kids. Like, you gotta let them cool off because that stuff's like lava on the inside. If you've never made these things, just keep that in mind.
Funny thing about kids, you see these white chairs we're sitting on. Someone was videoing something back here one time, we were just hanging out, family and friends. And when you watch the video, what became funny to us wasn't what was happening in the video. It's what you see happening in the background. And my little boy, Maddie, is roasting a marshmallow in that fire pit right there, fireplace. And you see him, and he's pondering. His hands are coated in marshmallow. And you see him, contemplating his hands. And he looks at these white cushions. And he kind of goes, and then you see him actually, I lost the video, which is such a bummer. You see him consider it for a minute, and then change his mind and just do the old front shirt wipe.
Yep.
And then he leaves the frame. But he's like, God, a fella could just wipe him right there.
Yeah, blend right in.
Yep.
Oh, man.
No, that smells good, Randall.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does.
real
Randall.
good,
Smells
buddy.
so good.
Looks good. I do say so myself.
Beautiful fish cakes. What I wanted to say on digging holes in the ground is sometimes you don't have a great place to dig a hole in the ground. So we got some builds here and preparations here where you can get yourself a 55-gallon drum. Meaning if you're in Alaska, just look around. You'll know what I'm talking about. If you're anywhere else, they're not hard to find.
Yep.
A barrel, a 55-gallon drum, cut that sucker in half. If you and your neighbor find a barrel and cut it in half, you each got a thing now.
Yep.
So we talk about how to roast a whole how to roast a whole deer shoulder or any chunk of meat like that, how to roast 6, 8, 10 pounds of meat in a barrel.
Yep.
You don't need a hole in the ground.
Like if you live somewhere where it's like there's no way you're digging your yard up or something.
If you got a wheelbarrow full of wood and some dirt or sand in a half of a barrel, you can set it out on a concrete slab.
Yep.
And do luau style in the ground cooking. And you can cook anything.
And that particular preparation, like we worked hard to get it right.
My old man, he used to canoe the boundary waters a lot. He would say, we don't put this in the book, which I kind of wish we had. They would get a fire going and then lay down any kind of clay, like heavy clay mud, and make a bed of heavy clay mud. Then they'd put all kinds of leaves down. Any sort of green leaves you could find. Mm-hmm. Then they'd set a fish down. And then they'd pile a bunch more green leaves on that fish and then smear a bunch more mud and clay over the leaves and then cover that up in coal. And then later break that open and eat walleye like that.
Yep.
We didn't put that in the book. We kind of put it in the book, but not really.
Right.
A lot about foil packs. Anything you like to add, Yanni?
No. I don't know, foil packs, man. I mean, that's a classic. I grew up doing that at Boy Scout camps, Latvian Boy Scout camps.
We got salmon, a bunch of salmon and trout preparations that are under the coals. Skimming ahead. Oh, we got how to cook. This is a good one. Cooking a venison roast underground wrapped up in a kitchen towel.
Yeah.
A wet-ass kitchen towel.
That's the one I was talking about that we had.
Yep.
We worked
Is that in
hard
foil or does the towel touch the meat?
No. It's wrapped
wet
in a wet
towel.
towel.
Huh. And then it's buried.
Yeah, because you're making a no oxygen area.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
Not octogenarian. A low oxygen area.
Uh-huh.
But an octogenarian could do it.
But an octogenarian could do this.
And
with
how-
stuff in his house.
And how deep are you sticking that?
Where it don't burn. Down good.
You'll be
4 or 5
sacrificing the towel though. Like that
Sure,
thing will
sure,
get charred. You know.
Yeah, you're gonna ruin your towel. You could probably do it with an old T-shirt. Felt like it.
Just make sure that there isn't.
And when you unwrap it, tell people, see that? That's my old shirt.
Yep. Escape the fire.
Should
in
that
thing.
towel be 100% cotton or
Yes.
polyester blend?
Yeah, no.
No.
Be careful, everybody.
Chemically treated.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the thing with burlap too. When you're not with burlap, when you're cooking with canvas, canvas tarps and stuff, you don't want treated canvas tarps.
Right.
Here's one that I love a lot: is whole vegetables roasted in coals. You can take, and we explain it here. There's stuff you want to wrap in foil. There's stuff you don't need to wrap in foil. You can cook fennel bulbs just in the fire. Mm-hmm. You can cook butternut squash just on the coals. Like lay a butternut squash on the coals and roast it. We explain how. Deer shoulder in a barrel. Bear grease, Dutch oven biscuits. That was a contribution from Clay. Goose and dumplings cooked in a Dutch oven. Dutch oven rabbit with cabbage. Then on to where Randall's working from right now, and this is kind of my favorite section. On the burner. So this is outdoor cooking. Cooking on a burner. On a camp stove, on a crab pot, whatever. Cooking on a burner.
Oh, that looks like
and we go
such a
through
good
all
fish cake.
different sorts of burners from
all manners
from
of
little
ways.
micro, backpacking stoves to great big, Cajun boilers.
Skillets, griddles, and pots, what you need to know. We got a cast iron. So propane stoves, outdoor cookers, griddles, backcountry stoves. We got a big primer on cast iron. Then we get into spicy fish cakes, where that's where Randall's at. Moroccan-ish. So there's no cultural appropriation in this book.
Borrowed a little bit.
Moroccan-ish venison meatballs. Oh, you ready, Randall?
Let's eat.
Oh, my goodness, Randall.
Those look so good.
That must have been a hell of a cookbook. For a guy like
Looking
Randall.
good. For a guy
Even
who doesn't
Seth,
know how to fry
a
stuff.
guy like Randall.
This is a good test here.
Oh, the dipping sauce?
Randall, you got to
Randy, you dirty dog.
I've got 8 more to go.
Oh,
in
okay.
the,
Hot.
Yeah, they look hot.
Digging in. I'm putting the sauce. I'm putting Randall's dip. I'm spooning his dipping sauce on there.
Bill, you want a bite?
I'll get there eventually. Just save a little bit for me.
I went no sauce first bite. It was delicious as is.
Oh, Randall.
Very good.
Let me tell you something too. My kids would be like, they'd be wanting ketchup, and not dipping sauce.
Right.
They would love it.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it says spicy, it's not like the only thing you're tasting is the peppers. It's just like there. And you can taste the fish too.
Oh, I don't even know what to say. I'm beside myself. Isn't that unbelievable?
You just keep talking while we're
That
eating over
sauce
here,
recipe.
Steve.
Randall.
Oh, man. That sauce recipe is also great. There's a lot
Flawless.
of garlic in there.
Yeah, well, see, that's where Krista's good at stuff, man. Like Krista, because I'll be kind of like how a lot of how we work together is there's like stuff we'll make, meaning we eat a lot of bony fish. So I'm like, man, I like doing fish cakes. I like to make them crispy. And we'll make like this and that sauce. I don't know how.
Tartar sauce or whatever.
Yeah, or I'll call my buddy. I'll say, hey, what was that sauce you made that one time? He'd be like, oh, I think I did, right? Maybe that. I can't remember if I did that. But working with like a really good recipe tester and developer, she'll make it 10 times. Do you know what I mean? And instead of you
Knows
saying
what-
like, oh, I kind of use, I'll be like, well, yeah, I use a lot of mayo and I use some lemon and I use some paprika, but I don't know. Or if not, sometimes I'll put dill because when you're cooking, you're winging it.
Yeah.
And so with a really good developer, you get where it's just like dialed and all the guesswork's pulled out,
This sauce, it so complements all the flavors in the fish cake. Mm-hmm. And using
Oh, we forgot the
serrano.
lemon.
Oh, God.
Damn it, Randall.
Would fry your ass for not
Well, that
having
tells you how good they are. We
I
didn't
knew
even
it.
need the
my
lemon.
God, okay.
Okay, I'm still in my what's it
On
called?
the burner.
I'm still in
Oh,
on the
thanks,
burner.
yeah.
There's a lot of other good ones in there.
Miso udon noodle soup with salmon,
Oh,
venison chili, a whole big thing on vac sealing. So this means vac sealing. What it means is reheating pre-cooked meals at camp. So it's a bunch of stuff about what you can cook at home and vac seal, and then drop into a pot of boiling water and heat in the bag or dump into a skillet and prepare at
And
camp.
in some cases, that's like your whole meal in that bag. In some cases, it's like a portion of a meal that you're gonna like
Yep.
throw together.
You're gonna finish
Oh,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
They're not done yet, but that's what they look like coming off the smoke.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that.
that-
That's pretty.
yeah.
You see those?
Wish
Can
we
I,
knew
can I
that.
just have one? No, I'll eat it later.
Wish we knew
Cuban
that
style
word.
rice with rabbit, garlic miso shrimp, ginger catfish stir fry, which is phenomenal. Tossed noodles with ground venison,
That's really good.
venison stir fry with cabbage, penne with sausage and peas, Louisiana style crayfish, blue crab, and shrimp boil.
That's your big like party recipe there.
Yep. Then a big old section called simply how to fry fish.
I'm sure your buddy would be very happy that you have a dedication to that
Yep.
topic.
We got a torta with wild turkey, like a Milanese torta with wild turkey. Thermos ramen, courtesy.
Upgraded ramen. Upgraded backpacking ramen.
Yep. Then we get into, within it, camp breakfast, lunches, and snacks. Souped up toad in the hole. That was my dad's camp preparation when I was a kid. So we do a toad in the hole, which is like a gourmet toad in the hole. A big thing about making coffee. We got a recipe called the late Eugene Groder's beer and apple pancakes.
Very
A
good.
Monte Cristo sandwich. And then we're getting ready to move into 5, but we got to stop for a minute because we're going to eat some stuff.
Alyssa,
All right,
thank
Alyssa,
you.
come
Did you-
over.
Yeah, did you try it? You
I
got
have
to
a
try
lot
it.
left over.
Oh, that's great.
But I didn't want to.
Do we
No,
need
no,
a
you
knife
got
for
it.
slicing that sucker? Or is that, it's already
With some
chopped up.
forks would be good. We'll just finger food it. All right, listen, you want to tell us what your experiences were here?
I'm a little intimidated that I didn't cook it enough.
Yeah,
But I
might
didn't
not
want to
have.
burn it. I mean, I knew it needed to be charred. But
No, you got it.
you think so? Mm-hmm. Is it tender enough?
It's tender enough because you whooped it good.
Okay.
You could have charred it a little more, but it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot.
I should have pointed out to you, char it, the octopus, char it until the ends of his legs are burnt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? They'll look like legit burnt and start to curl up, and that's when I pull them off.
It was
But
kind of
man,
cool. They
that's
were
good.
wrapping around the grates like it was alive when you first put it
Well,
on there.
they grab
Yeah,
onto
they
that
grab-
grate.
yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
really
yo, you'll never get me off the grill. I'm so smart.
You did a great job whooping
That's
that
so
one.
good.
Mm.
Your boys would eat that up.
I knew that.
Alyssa, you nailed it.
Spinning my head out.
Did you try it yet?
No.
No, you didn't try it?
Man, I like that stuff. Awesome
Oh,
job.
that's really
Okay.
good.
The charring makes it.
Mm-hmm.
When you get those little bites of the
Yep.
char.
So how did you like cooking over the open fire?
That was intimidating, only because I've never used that before. I don't.
Like my particular grill?
Right,
Yeah.
Right. But
My buddy made that for me.
that's awesome. It's an awesome.
My buddy Ronnie made
I just
that.
I don't know how to use it, so it was kind of.
For our audio audience, can you explain what that is? It's kind of like an elevator situation.
Oh, the grill?
Uh-huh.
Oh, years ago I was in West Texas and these guys had a grill like that. It's just like a elevated, basically it's a fire table, a round fire table, maybe 5 inches deep on a tripod legs, on 3 legs. So the fire table sits waist high. And then it's got a framework above it with a grill that you can adjust. So what is that, 20 inches in diameter? Maybe low 22-inch diameter fire table with an adjustable grill on it. And I love that thing. It's great for any kind of like small scale cooking. And it says TLI on it. My buddy Ronnie Bame, he's retired now, but that was his company, Twin Lake Installations. I sent him a picture and he welded that up for me many, many, many years ago. And that thing, there's nothing ever going to happen to that.
Solid.
There's a product that's made commercially now that's
Bunch of 'em.
similar to that right now. Kudu grills, I think.
Yep, Kudu grills. There's a bunch of them now.
Good job, Alyssa.
Oh, the
Yeah,
octopus is
thank
good.
you. That's so good. I'm gonna go in for more. Steve, are you able to
Yanni, do
talk-
me a favor. Start walking people through on the spit.
Now that I got my mouth full of octopus.
Because I want to have a little more fish cake, too.
Oh, what's
Damn,
that a
that turned
picture
out
of?
good.
There's some birds wrapped around sticks.
Yep.
Take it away, Janis.
On the spit. So as you can imagine, these are recipes where meat is skewered on things that you would consider like shish kebab type skewers, and then all the way up to bigger
Crucifixes.
yeah, you could call it that. But I mean, literally, 2-inch, limbs, and then also rotisserie devices. That all counts as on the spit. And again, what you're going to get mostly out of here, yeah, there's some good recipes, but you're going to get the how-to, the skills to know how to do it with any bird. And once you do it with a duck or a grouse, then you'll know how to do it in the future with anything else. Detailed photographs. Seth did some of the photography in this book, didn't he?
Oh, he did a ton of the photography in that book.
Photography is fantastic.
As
Seth
well as our
and,
good buddy John Hafner. Let's see. A couple of the recipes I'm looking at here. Big game heart skewers, sheep skewers. Must have used some of my bighorn for that one. Crying tiger skewers. Yee. What makes the
Well,
tiger
you gotta
cry?
get a tiger. You tell him a sad story. And then you
cut his heart out and
put it on a skewer.
Oh, the subtitle there says with hearts of duck or upland bird.
What kinds of proteins lend themselves well to this skewer situation, do you feel?
It's everything on there. Well, there's veggie skewers, tuna and tuna skewers, yellowtail skewers.
I think when it
heart
comes to
skewers.
fish, you'd have to use a pretty meaty steak-like fish. You know, perch would not go well on a skewer.
I'll tell you the thing that I think that is the meat that is transcendent on a skewer is duck hearts, turkey hearts, any kind of game bird heart.
Something that
Chicken hearts.
cooks fast.
Because you can make them good, but man, they're good like that. I love them like that. Or sometimes you can simmer them in pork fat and then skewer them and grill them. And that crying tiger is like a Chinese inspired.
Yeah.
This is one of Steve's pride and joy
Yeah.
recipes in the cookbook.
If any of you guys that have traveled down to areas in Mexico where you'll see that pork dish where they have that vertically oriented spit in a burner, and they make tacos al pastor.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of different cultures.
Yep.
but,
In Greek, in Greek cuisine, they use a similar thing. In Mexico, they call it a trompo. So it's you take all this, you take out a bunch of your roasts, okay, like your venison roast, elk roast, whatever, pig, anything, and you make a bunch of thin slices, and then you marinate all those slices, okay? You marinate all the slices, and then you put them on a vertical skewer, and it makes like you're making a column of sliced meat. And you roast it like that, and it spins, and you cook it, and then you just shave off the outside into tacos.
Yep.
And so we get into trompos. And the trompo that we use here, my buddy Ronnie just welded it together. Like just a garage, garage
kind of
job.
a vertical rotisserie kind
Yep.
of.
And then later, I had mine, you had to hand turn it.
Yeah.
So later I had Travis Barton from Barton Fabrication. He put a rotisserie motor, which you can just buy at Ace Hardware. He mounted a rotisserie motor underneath it. So you can just plug it into the wall, fill it full of charcoal briquettes, and just cooks that son of a bitch.
That was one of my favorites. In
Yeah.
100%. That was one of my
Randall.
favorites to eat. That
Oh
was
my
delicious.
Oh, Dr. Randall. Another
Randall,
load.
Another
take a load off and
another
enjoy some
load of-
food.
A little more inconsistency here on the coloration.
One thing I'm getting concerned
all right.
about is what happened to Seth's food.
Seth is.
He's probably
looks like
stuffing
he's
the
grabbing
burgers.
condiments now. See a little bit of mustard, ketchup, spicy brown mustard.
Now, Alyssa, I want you to know, I just had a piece that was kind of like octopus sashimi.
I'm sorry.
Quite all right.
It was still delicious.
Very good.
For your first attempt, it's great.
I actually like it better like that.
I think I made the mistake of kind of pulling it off the direct heat a little bit, just because I was worried I didn't want to burn it, but
Right.
Keep going, Yanni.
Spiked fowl. Oh, no, this one's worth mentioning and talking about. The kofta kebabs. Just like basically,
Oh, this is a good one to talk about.
ground meat with spices that you form around a skewer and then cook.
A flat skewer.
Yeah.
So let's say you're the kind of guy that
delicious.
got a deer and you took it to the butcher and said, just grind the whole damn thing.
Which is not uncommon.
And now you're bummed because you want to have some kebabs. Well,
Look at that. Those look good.
But you can see that skewers are like almost like a knife shape, flat.
Yep.
but you're forming
Eastern.
ground meat around a skewer. It's like Greek-ish.
And you just take that whole thing off.
Yeah, you can get it off. Yep.
Yeah, I've had that in Turkey, Palestine. Yeah, like Middle East.
There it is.
Greek, yeah.
Yanni.
Yanni's.
Oh,
Yeah,
He
I don't
looks
know how
confused.
this one makes it to this on the spit section. I guess it's
Because
suspended.
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 Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we have two soup recipes in here. One is a. Did Richard Martinez? Did he bring us the turkey chili verde soup, or is it just a picture of him that just happens to be there?
Just
No,
a
that
picture.
was-
No. Just that happens to be in the
It's
picture.
that stuff is awesome.
Yeah. Turkey chili verde, man, it's one of my favorite things to do. Or the pozole that we have in the other cookbook is one of my favorite things to do
What's
with turkey
pozole
legs.
again?
Well, I mean,
Pozole with mountain lion.
It's like it's a dish with a
hominy.
yeah, like
is usually what's in there.
like a limed corn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those big.
A lot of
those-
times it's like
okay.
a tomatoey base, but the one that we did in the last cookbook was more of a green chili base. But the recipe that I say I contributed, I sort of shared it after trying it out in Latvia a couple years ago when I was over there hunting for lunch. We had a big old cauldron of this soup called soyanka, which I asked the ladies that prepared it, and they said they really didn't have a recipe. But I said, well, anyways, just talk, and I'll just record it on my phone. And in the end, it basically sounds like a fridge emptier, but it's great. I mean,
And it's
it was delicious.
It's like a traditional dish to feed a bunch of hunters, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think what kind of makes it MeatEater-ish is that there's venison chunks in there, there's wild game sausage in there, and then sort of you just add vegetables, pickles, whatever else you have to season it all. It's simple, it's delicious.
All right, I'm going to take over on thank you for that, Yanni.
You're welcome.
I'm going to take over on the final section 6. On the side, which covers your salads, sides, desserts, and drinks. Now, we got into hobo pies, mountain pies, iron pies earlier. And in this section, you get into iron pies that are like dessert-type iron pies, okay? Bunches of salads, all kinds of dressings, all right? Coleslaw, that's a classic outdoor dish. How to do Boston baked beans from scratch. How to do refried black beans, camp stove rice. Then some vegetarian dish appetizers, grilled eggplant, chickpeas and marjoram mint dressing. A lentil stew, so side dishes there. Kevin Murphy's Kentucky buttermilk cornbread. Savory cheese biscuits, all cooked outside.
Wait, is his recipe sweet or savory for cornbread?
Savory.
Okay.
And then we get into sweets, peanut butter s'mores, Nutella and banana iron pie, a bunch of other iron pie variations. A really crazy one that I love, coal roasted bananas.
Huh.
Which are like way better than you think they would be. A coal roasted banana. Coal baked fall fruit. How to make like just kind of like different sweet breakfast dishes. How to cook a chocolate cake on a camp stove. You're cooking a chocolate cake by steaming it on a camp stove.
Is it like souffle-ish?
No, it's cake. It's
no
cake-ish.
kidding.
It's cake. Mulled cider cooked over a fire pit. Pitchers of red beer, cocktails, camp hot chocolate, more on coffee, and then a bunch more extra stuff. A whole big section I'm not going to bore you with right now. Brines, marinades, dry brines, and rubs.
I've never had more on coffee. Is that it's like for people that don't do the fancy
Not
stuff?
for more on the subject, additional information on the subject of coffee.
Yeah, we have a big section on coffee, man. Cowboy coffee.
Various ways to make coffee. Okay, you guys ready? What are we doing next? Oh, the stuffed burgers.
Stuffed burgers. Here, I got some buns. And,
Let's hit the devils.
oh, devils. They're out.
Forthcoming.
Look at that beautiful burger. And just for
Nice work,
that's
Seth.
beautiful.
Oh my goodness,
That's
guys.
beautiful.
Hopefully they're not too done or too underdone. I wasn't using them.
Man, what a nice finish it does on the egg.
Yep.
Did you try it yet? Come
No.
on.
Let me get a knife to cut those burgers open.
The smoked deviled egg is really good.
Yeah.
Is there a knife out here?
Let's see.
Yeah. Need that one for the wall.
Yeah, picture a deviled egg with a kind of a cooked egg.
Walk us through it, Randall. Give us the experience.
How would you rate your cookbook experience?
Let's get you out of mic, Randall, please.
Here you go.
A delightful smoky bouquet. Ooh. A fun mixture of flavors. All the creamy, rich goodness that you want in a deviled egg. A little bit of smoke to finish it. Lovely. Goes down smooth.
And it
Barely
alters,
chew it.
if you've been eating deviled eggs your whole life, smoking that egg alters the texture of the egg's exterior.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more toothsome.
Yeah, so instead of having like a slimy little bugger, it's kind of a cooked. It's like textured and cooked
Yep.
and looks kind of smoky.
Oh, that's very nice.
A little more al dente.
A little more al
Yep.
dente.
Yep.
A little more al
That's a
dente
good
on
way
the
to
egg.
put it.
Okay, Seth, hit it. So, Seth, how would you rate your experience working with the book?
Oh, these are great. It's super easy, right? When you think of like cooking a burger, yeah, it's like something that everyone does. When you add stuff like stuffing them, it adds some, it's a little more complex and difficult.
Not your grandpa's burger.
No, but just following the directions in the cookbook, super easy.
How many photos would you say you have in that book, Seth?
I don't know, quite a bit.
Dozens
For sure, yeah. So we're gonna cut one of these open.
Oh, it's so juicy.
Not really getting a good cut, but
No. You getting a good bite.
Yep.
Ooh.
It's not overcooked.
Smoke
Medium.
ring.
Perfect.
There you go.
It's beautiful.
someone wanna.
I want to give me a halvesy.
I should have put one in the burger or in the bun and then cut it.
Oh, that would have been smart. You're good. Who wants a full burger?
They smell good.
If somebody handed me a full burger, I would
Give them a napkin to go with it.
There's a halvesy.
Let's do halves, and that way
Pass
everyone
those
can have
napkins with them, Brody.
All right, guys.
We're getting so
That's
carried
beautiful
away
now.
eating.
No. All right,
So
all right, buddy.
good.
You realize that it's hard to talk and host a show when you're eating.
Where'd the damn
a
book
bunch.
go?
Oh, it's right here.
Oh.
It was.
There you have it. We're going to eat our burgers, let you guys all go home that's listening. The MeatEater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire. Get a little fire going outside and get some. Thank you, everybody.